BigFooty Blues.
BigFooty Blues. BigFooty Blues.
Turn the BigFooty Blues.
There's the gun, and we are off and running for episode 4 of the 2015 BigFooty Blues podcast. I'm ODN, and once again we are operating with a skeleton crew, as I am joined by ShanDog. Hey, ShanDog.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Did you draw the short straw this week, or do you know if it was something I said?
No.
Where's my panel?
I have no idea if there was a straw drawing situation. I think they just left me out of that and just said, "That's it, you're up." So.
I'm gonna dive you in from the outset and just and mention that you let it be known that the podcast panel matching the intensity of the Carlton team in round 1.
Hey, what's said offline is supposed to stay, but it is true. So let's go with it.
You have your finger on the edit button this week, so we'll see what stays in. Look, with no further ado, we'll just go straight into the weekend wake. So, last Thursday night, yes, a whole 7 days ago at the MCG, Carlton 11-12-78 went down to Richmond. Ooh, I hate saying that. 15-15-105. What went wrong?
Geez, how much time have we got?
Make it quick, mate. Do not dwell. That's the motto for tonight.
Yeah. Well, look, if I was to put it down to one thing, and I think a lot of people touched on it in the match day thread as well, I know I harped on it a little bit, was we were just terrible users of the ball, bringing it out of the defensive 50. I was just having a look at the AFL website, and in the commentary feed there for the game, they've got a very interesting tidbit of info. Bear with me on this one. Richmond launched 65 chains from its defensive half of the ground that resulted in 27 inside 50s and a total of 56 points from those. So bringing out of defence all the way through the forward line and scoring. But on the other hand, Carlton launched 68 chains, so 3 more from its defensive half, resulting in only 10 inside 50s compared to their 27, and we scored 32 points. That was the thing that stood out watching the game, was our inability to take it out of defensive 50 and actually hit a target in the middle of the ground or run it out effectively. And it was just horrible. I think that's where it was won and lost there, basically. Their pressure was too good. We turned the ball over. They scored almost exclusively from turnovers in the first 3 quarters, is another stat that they rolled out on the site. And yeah, despite us sort of, I think we won the clearances fairly well, but I don't really like that statistic anyway, because it's one of those things where we might win the clearance, we get the ball 50 metres in our direction, but it's a crap ball that gets turned over and goes straight back over the head as well. So, yeah, it just didn't go well anywhere on the park, I think.
So does that suggest that we just didn't have the skill level up, or that we weren't supporting each other and providing an option to get out of trouble?
I don't know about the skill level. It's kind of hard to tell, especially round 1. I reckon the structure wasn't right. It wasn't for a lack of people who can kick the ball properly. It was the teamwork involved in there. I mean, when you're coming out of defence, you look up down to the wing or in the middle, you expect to see a certain something, 2 or 3 people leading up, someone else leading the other way, that sort of thing. And it just, whatever the plan was, just did not come off.
With about 30 seconds of the game clock expired in the first quarter, we've lost Dale Thomas.
Yeah, that was a great start to the game. I won't tell you what I said, but I think you can imagine as it happened.
The amount of times that Carlton have lost a player early in the game, and then sort of we've been missing that player for the rest of the game. I mean, with the sub and so forth, it doesn't hurt quite as much, but it does hurt having quality players missing whole games like that. And we just seem, they're not going down, halfway through the fourth quarter during an intense, period of play. We're going down really early in games, and it's been happening for a couple of years now. And I just we didn't have bad luck; we wouldn't have any at all.
That's right. It was a real freak not a freak accident, but it was one of those things that there's nothing in it. It wasn't that someone's pulled a hammy because they haven't been conditioned right or anything like that. It's just that tackle, his arm was in the wrong place and Daisy's shoulder went pop, and it sucks. At least we got to see Clem Smith, I guess, for the whole game, and he does look like a really great player. It's just I don't think he was. A lot of people commented on this. Wasn't match fit enough for a whole game though.
No. Best for Carlton named were Doherty, Simpson, White, Bell, Menzel, and Judd. I've just got to say, pre-season, it shaped up that Sam Doherty was going to be our whipping boy this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
People were so down on him, and I didn't see much reason for it. And man, did he stood out head and shoulders above the rest for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was so composed, I think, was the big difference. When the ball came his way, he took it cleanly, he had clean hands, he delivered it well, thought about what he was doing. It was brilliant. It was like watching Henderson back when he was in form, I think, in the back line, where he'd take an intercept mark, get the ball, and just distribute it quite well. So it was really pleasing to see, because he didn't have a fantastic nab challenge.
No, well, leaving his man and filling a hole in front of tall forwards, that was... I love seeing that stuff. 23 disposals at 91.3% efficiency is amazing, and 10 of those disposals came from contested possessions. So it's not like it was all soft stuff, or it's not like he was a spare man in defence. He was manning up. He was just getting away, and the 8 marks shows that he was working hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was getting around 5 rebound 50s. 5 tackles, 4 1%ers. So fantastic game by Sam. Probably the best game he's played for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And very timely. And Old Man River, Chris Judd. I'm glad he went around again, because it would have been pretty embarrassing without him.
Did anyone sort of strike you watching the game as having an absolute stinker? Because I think there might have been a couple.
Well, look, during the game and he's one of my boys. During the game, I was going, oh, gee, Christian Jackson's not going well here. He probably shouldn't have matched up on who was he on, Griffith in the first place. But then we find out post match, after he copped a bit of a bagging, that he'd actually suffered a rib injury and he'll be missing a couple of weeks. So he played on pretty bravely, considering.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Yeah. Some players that sort of you thought were set for a big one were, I wouldn't say had a stinker, but probably you look at the stats and Mark Murphy was down. He was clearly down. He had 21 possessions, but they weren't. It wasn't fantastic. Bryce Gibbs 26 possessions, and you look there and go, oh yeah, we'll take that. Only 9 of them contested, and that's sort of down for him. Usually a little bit more inside. Well, certainly last year, but 50% efficiency. He's one of our great ball users, and if he's only going at 50%, and he's only playing a 1/3 contested game, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's a very bad start to the season for him and Murphy, really. But Gibbs in particular, he burnt it really badly a few times, missed targets by miles. But they're quality players anyway. I think they both only played 1 NAB challenge game, didn't they? I think. So you can maybe say, Murphy definitely had an injury cloud coming in. Hopefully they're just, cobwebs out now, and round 2 we'll see them back closer to their best.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it is round 1. It is what it is. We know round 1 throws up some interesting results. Not that we want to be on the end of them. We don't want to be making a habit of this, and certainly since we're probably going to be playing Richmond in round 1 every year, so we want to get off to a flyer here and there. Look, in the first half, everybody seemed to be doing really well. We were up 44-22 at one stage. And we looked to be flying, and we stopped. And so, that's why I say you can't really single anybody out as having a really bad game, because as a team we collectively stopped in that third quarter. Yep. And if you look at the game time, the time on the ground. It was quite interesting to see how many players were a long way down on the minutes that they would normally play. You sort of see the midfielders like, Cripps 76% game time, Carazzo 76, Gibbs 73% game time.
Simpson as well.
Simpson was down 73%. I mean, they're amazingly low numbers for Simo would normally be on the field for 90% of the game. He's pretty durable sort of guy. So, and the point's been made that Carlton, Malthouse has said that he would have liked another week to get the guys into shape, but all teams have the same length of time to get ready.
Yeah.
But anyway, that one's done. We'll pretend round one is this week. And I know I stayed out of the Big Footy Blues banter thread, and I don't know if any Richmond supporters went in there after the game, but I never read it.
Yeah, I think I unsubscribed from that thread the moment third quarter hit, I think.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
We might as well go straight on to this week's game in our pre-game pep talk.
Pre-game pep talk.
Friday night at Domain Stadium, Carlton are hosted by West Coast. The ins for Carlton, Casbolt and Tutt, replacing the injured Jack and Thomas. Good ins for you?
Yeah, they are. They make a lot of sense. Like I think you said before, I wouldn't have minded seeing one more runner come in perhaps, but look, it makes sense, and I don't know if this is going to be the final team as well. A little bit of whisper in the threads that and from TV that Mark Murphy might be a bit sore, pull up short, so we might see a slight change from there. We've got, who's it, Armfield, Byrne and Allard as the emergencies, who I think all travelled over. So might see one more change, but otherwise I think Casbolt's going to straighten us up in terms of structure a lot, even though he might be a bit out of form. And the speed of Tutt's definitely going to be helpful. So the ins are good. They make sense compared to what's happened last week and the Eagles' backline issues as well. So yep. I can't fault that, really.
Yeah, look, I would love to see Byrne come into the side, but if Murphy's got a bit of a niggle and it doesn't come up, then it's certainly it'll be one of the other guys that'll come in. They're expecting it's certainly going to be rain tomorrow morning. It's been raining over there a fair bit apparently, so I don't know how long whether the ground's going to be slightly wet or whether the rain's going to linger a little bit. That more than most games, that will have a fair effect here. I mean, the West Coast have got a pretty some decent tall forwards. They're down in a couple of key defensive posts. So they're sort of scrambling there to make up for the guys that are out. And you're thinking on a dry day that with contested mark, good contested marks such as Casbolt and Henderson in the side up forward, that we might be able to exploit that. But
absolutely,
on the same note, you'd expect Josh Kennedy to do a fair bit of damage at the other end. So it's very hard to know whether we want rain or we don't want rain. And if Murphy's out, maybe we do want a bit of rain and make it a bit of a grind. Yeah,
and get Allard into the team, perhaps. He'd suit that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd say that's why we've taken him across, purely because of the weather. And he was reasonably good in the VFL match, I believe. So,
yeah, sure.
one of only a couple of players who did well there. So, I mean, what are your expectations for the game? Do you think we can win it?
I think we absolutely can win it, especially when you consider even the changes just from last week from West Coast. They've got some big outs. Scott Selwood's hurt his ankle, so he's not going to be playing. That's going to leave their midfield a little bit down, and it's kind of suspect, I guess, is the general feel about their midfield. Mitchell Brown, I think he's one of their key defenders, knee gone. So they're really light on down back, and if the weather holds up and allows us to be able to sort of bring the ball forward quickly, we're going to have the three big tall forwards. One of them surely has got to have a good day, Jeez, I hope so. So I can see that there's definite scope for us to win. I'm not sure whether the bookies would have us as favourites or not, but
No, they don't. No.
okay, there you go. They've definitely got a chance, despite it being in West Coast. Well, I mean, we've done pretty well out in Perth recently, really.
We like it there. We've got a good fan base, and we get a fair bit of support, and the crowd makes a bit of noise. So the WA Blues out there, they certainly roll up in numbers. And
Yeah, good job, dudes.
Yeah,
Dudettes.
yeah. Shout out there to Blue Gunslinger and his mates. Keep it up tomorrow night. Have a shout for us. I think Judd would be fairly relieved that not to see any Selwood names on the West Coast team sheet, because he generally gets he gets tagged out of West Coast matches. So, and mind you, he looks a lot stronger already than he did last year at any stage last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks like well, I don't know. He's playing without any weight of expectation, and seems to be enjoying it. So
yeah, it definitely seems to have that bit of burst speed that comes with, I think they said he put on a few kilos to get a bit stronger again. That sort of burst first 2 or 3 steps, it really requires power. He seems to have that back, maybe not as great as he was at his peak, but definitely looks quicker off the mark than he has in the last year or so.
I'll totally agree. It's very obvious, isn't it? Look, I don't know. I think for me, the game hinges on Murphy in or out. With Thomas out, we need that little bit of class in the midfield.
Yeah.
If Murphy plays, I think we're going to win. I'm fairly confident we're going to win if Murphy plays.
I like it.
And it's it's up to you. I'm not going to give any margins or anything like that. No margins. I don't think it's going to be a huge amount. We are over there. West Coast, I was actually quite impressed in their game against the Bulldogs. That was a very high-quality, exciting match, I thought.
It was, actually. Their pressure was really impressive. That's something that's going to have to, similar to how Richmond was against us, just holding us in. That'll be something we need to be wary of.
Yeah,
and to
absolutely.
improve ourselves as well.
Yeah, look, we've obviously had a bit of an honest look at ourselves, and you can only hope that... I guess, as I said, we've always said Judd stayed on for a reason this year, because we were all on the same page and all going to fight for each other. And I think that game, the round one, wasn't good enough, and I think there would have been some real soul searching going on, and I expect us to come out pretty fired up. So, all right, might leave that there. You think we're going to win, by the way? I
do think we're going to win. I might be still the eternal optimist, but I think we're going to get over them.
It's round 2. You've still got to be an optimist.
Yeah, I can't. I hope I haven't given up by now.
Well, I'm not going to start any Chicken Littles threads on BigFooty anymore. So, all right, we'll just have a quick trip around the grounds. So, with considering the pre-season and round 1 has been run and won, have any other teams or players from other teams impressed you so far?
Oh, look, the first thing that jumps to mind when you ask that is Tex Walker from Adelaide. In fact, the whole Adelaide team was just... I got a bit of egg on my face, actually, because I've been talking up here and there in the off-season how I thought North Melbourne have really sort of leapfrogged up and should be expecting to be top 4 and things like this. I think I even said that on the Main Board podcast as well. I'm surprised I haven't received any mail about pointing out how wrong I was. But, Adelaide absolutely destroyed them, and the whole team, including Dangerfield and in particular Tex Walker, who's just off the leash from the first bounce, looked really, really impressive. So they, if they can keep that sort of form up for the first part of the season, they've set themselves up pretty well. Might surprise a few people, I think.
Yeah, which probably means that North have been the disappointing team of round 1. And look, I did tip them on the basis of you talking them up. So,
sorry, mate. Well, there goes my cred. Yep.
Well, all Carlton supporters are very sad to see that Jared Waite had a pretty quiet, ordinary match. Yeah. He wasn't alone, though. Look, I pretty much found that most teams in round 1 actually showed me something, all but North and Geelong probably, but and really, I guess most other teams impressed me more than my beloved Blues did. So that's a bit of an issue for me. That might be my expectations more than anything. But it was interesting to see Melbourne.
There's a lot to like about them.
Get up and have a win over the Gold Coast, and they fought back. Gold Coast had fought back a couple of times, and they kicked away. Collingwood and Brisbane. It was a pretty good match when Brisbane started coming back in that last quarter, and you thought Collingwood would run out of legs, but Collingwood, sort of vastly weak inside, showed that they're still, probably going to be mid-table, thereabouts. Essendon blowing a 40-odd point lead late in the third quarter.
Also had an early injury as well, kind of similar to us. I don't think it was quite that early. Was it Myers who went down? So that wouldn't have helped, combined with lack of match fitness for those guys. They probably needed that lead and obviously then some to be able to stay in the game. But I wonder how much you can put that down to, the team getting up in a bubble, I guess, a little bit from after the not guilty or not enough evidence decision.
I just put it down to karma, really.
Very good, yeah. The Freo Port match was quite interesting too. Very fast-paced, actually. Freo surprised me in that they seemed very quick around the ground. It didn't seem like the slow Freo that I guess maybe we're a little bit used to. Or perhaps I just haven't seen enough of them to realise that they're not slow anymore. But a lot of good games over the week. I think the next couple of weeks, seeing whether some of these teams can back up these sort of results, especially like Melbourne, Adelaide, whether they can be dominant again, that's going to tell us a lot, I think. Yep.
St Kilda, another team, they didn't get up, but they certainly scared GWS, who were, hot favourites for that match. So, whether St Kilda are going to be the easy beats or whether they just, hit the ground running early and, gave a really good account of themselves, I don't know. Most people thought that they would be right down the bottom again, but, it could be, certainly the first month or so could be fairly even until teams start to separate themselves from the pack.
Yep.
But obviously, Hawthorn look another level above at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, it doesn't look like too many teams are going to be able to touch them on their day.
Yes, to have those sort of disposal skills. You don't need the leg speed if you can kick like that. So
you don't have to chase anyone if you've got the ball.
Exactly right. So we can just sit back and hope that people are talking about Carlton in those terms sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining me, mate. I was afraid that it was me, and I had a shower because I thought that might be something going on through it was coming across the internet. But I popped a breath mint just in case. But
you smell fine from Adelaide, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Even Adelaide smells fine from Brisbane. All right, mate. Look, thanks for joining me again, and hopefully a few others will join us next week. Until then, go the Blues.
Good night.